It is magic.
Yeah. It's magical. It's
magical.
okay. Yes. And taking a horse and carriage ride.
Oh, did you do that?
Oh, yeah.
I did that in Philly. It was well worth it. You get a great little history lesson.
Yes. Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're here. It's, what day is it? Thursday. Already the 2nd of December, so let's do some yoga because before we know it, it'll be Christmas. So whether you're sitting on the floor or on a chair, get comfortable. And you know, you can sit on blankets if you're on the floor and that's more comfortable for your hips. You can also change how you have your legs so that you feel okay just to sit up and come into your breath. So let your eyes close. Let yourself just find a really easy place to rest your hands so your shoulders feel nice and wide and open. And then just breathe in and out through your nose, feeling the breath coming into your belly. You know you're welcome to come into those 3-part breaths if you're comfortable, to breathe into the belly, then into your ribs, then all the way up into your chest. And now if you can, add a little bit of movement with your breath, letting your exhalations bring you forward and your inhalations bring you back, keeping your back nice and long. Doesn't have to be very far forward that you go. Or you may decide that it feels really good, it feels good in your back to come a little farther when you exhale your way forward. So just enjoy starting to move with your breath. Next time you come back up to sitting, let yourself stay there sitting nice and tall. Let your arms come on out beside you. So if you're on the floor, fingertips can lightly touch the ground. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now I'm going to mirror you. Let your right arm come up and bring it across your chest and put your hand just kind of over the top of your shoulder there. Just hook your fingers over there. And then just tilt your head so that you come away from your hand. Tilt your head to the right ear towards your right shoulder. And just breathe. You may even kind of press down a little bit into the fingers here on the top of the shoulder just to let yourself release a little bit deeper. Side of the neck there. One more breath. And then slowly start to bring your head on back up and lower your arm on down beside you. And we'll come to the other side. So now folding that left arm over and again kind of finding the best place to hook your hand. You know, you play around a little bit till it feels just really right. So that when you do tilt your left ear towards your left shoulder, it feels really good to feel the weight of that hand. You might be able to release a little deeper in your neck there, in the side of the neck. You might feel it in between the shoulder blades on your back too. Good. One more breath. And then we'll rise to come on back up and unfold our arms on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then release your arms on down, shake out, stretch your legs out for a second, and move through your feet and your ankles. And then if you're on the floor, keep your left leg long, and we're going to cross our right ankle either above or below our knee. And same thing if you're in the chair. And if that doesn't work on the chair, in the chair, you can cross your ankle. You don't have to be up above your knee at all. And then we're going to come a little bit forward with the breath and back. So the same thing we did when we were sitting neutrally, but now as you come forward and back, you might feel it a little deeper in this right hip. You may not want to go very far. Again, you may hardly move forward at all, or you may feel very good to fold a little bit deeper forward as you exhale your way forward. Feel your head in line with your spine. Let yourself feel very easy. And the next time you come forward a little bit, however far you want to come, stay there. Keep flexing through this right foot. And if you can, put your foot on your hand on your foot. Press the ball of the foot into your hand a little bit so you're engaging up into that right hip. You can even interlace your fingers between your toes if you want. So if you feel good to do that, you can. If your foot's cold, wrap your hand around your foot if you want. Good. One more breath here. And then we're going to slowly come on back up. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist around to your right. So bringing that left hand maybe to your right knee, maybe to your shin. Doesn't matter where you bring the hands. Let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. And be mindful of your neck. You know, if it feels better to look at the wall beside you there, do. If it feels good to look back a little bit. One more breath here. And you're going to stay in your twist. And at first now, just turn your head back around to the left. So you're turning easily to look a little bit over towards your left shoulder. One more breath here. And as you exhale, bring everything back around into the center in front. Take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist around the other way. So bring yourself around into your twist. Again, you can put your right hand on your foot. You can put it on your ankle or your shin, whatever feels good. Let that back arm just release down the back of the chair or fingertips lightly touching the floor. Again, if you want to turn to try to look more behind yourself, do, but don't force it. One more inhale here. And now again, stay in the twist, but just turn your head as you exhale. Turn your head around to the right, towards that right shoulder. You're still nice and open across the left side of your chest. One more breath. And then use your belly down into center again. And we are going to uncross, and we're going to switch and go to the other side. So again, just be mindful, set yourself up there, getting yourself into that length of the spine as you inhale. And maybe you can exhale your way forward and inhale your way back up, but don't push it. Again, it might be more in your mind that you're actually coming forward. Or it might feel really good to you to come farther forward with that long back. Waking up the hips, feeling that back engaged there, so that the next time you come forward, even if it's just a half an inch, stay there. If you can put your hand on your foot, do. And again, if you want to interlace your fingers, you can, between your toes. You can press the ball of the foot into your hand a little bit, very much engaged there, up into this left hip here. One more breath. And then as we come up, we're gonna add those twists. Take a nice inhale. As you exhale, twisting to your left. So again, that right hand might wanna come to your knee, it might not. It might wanna be right there on your ankle or closer to your foot or your shin. Lengthen upward. Again, don't be stressed in your neck at all. You can look to the side, you can look behind yourself. One more inhale. As you exhale, turn just your head back around again to look over your right shoulder there. Lengthen up through the top of your head and zip up your belly a little bit here. One more inhale. And as you exhale, let everything unwind on back into center. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to twist the other way. So again, you only go as far as you want. Doesn't matter where you put your left hand. Back arm just releases down. If you like to look back a little bit, do. Just be easy in your neck there. And one more inhale. And when you exhale to turn your head again, stay in your twist, but turn your head back around towards your left shoulder. Just find what you can there. One more breath. And as you exhale, everything unwinds to stop right around at center again. And let's release our legs out long for a second. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. Let yourself flex and point to a little bit if that helps you find feet and ankles. And then set up for any kind of seated forward bend you want. So on the floor, if you'd rather be cross-legged, go right ahead. If you'd rather have your legs stretched long, do. And just come forward from the low back. It might just be a little bit. You might feel good to walk your hands further out or down and come farther forward. Really up to you and your back. Just be mindful. Good, so one more breath. And when you start to head up, just take your time, letting yourself rise on back up to sitting. And go ahead and stretch your legs and your arms out a little bit, wiggle around, whatever you want to do. We're going to head around towards our hands and knees, so if you think you want to be up on a blanket for your knees or for your hands, do it. If you prefer to have yourself on fist instead of flat hands so that you erase that wrist crease, by all means do that. Of course, you're more than welcome to grab blankets too. Sometimes that helps under hands. Or you're welcome to go to your forearms, right? You can still do your cat-cows even when you're down on your forearms rather than being up on your hands. So take your time and really start to feel that ease of flowing through your spine. And keep breathing. You know, whether the breath, the traditional breath, is exhaling when you come up into that cat pose, round it up into your back. And the inhale sends your tailbone back and up and through into cow. But if you prefer to breathe the opposite, or you just kind of get mixed up and you start breathing the opposite, there is no right or wrong. Keep breathing. And then finish off the one that you're on. And we'll come back to more neutral spine here, letting yourself find neutral. And let's step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into lunge. Now how high you want your hands up for your lunge, totally up to you. You can use blocks any height. You can use your chair any height. You can go to the floor with your hands if you'd rather. So take it up through the back of that right leg. And see if you can just float your left heel just a tiny bit up off the floor. And then put it back down. So remember, you're on really narrow railroad tracks. How long of a stance you take doesn't matter. get into the pose here now, letting yourself get established. Make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. Really feeling the legs, the hips, the belly, the low back. And then float that front right heel just a little off the floor for a second. And then put it back down. And we're going to step forward and come on into our standing forward bend. Feet are hips distance apart and parallel. And you use whatever support helps you feel good in this pose. And you know that. You can have elbows above your knees. You can have hands on the blocks. You can have forearms on the chair. Feel the weight of your head. Really let the head hang and feel that softness through your face. So as you feel the weight of your head, it just almost feels natural to let go of every muscle all on your face, all across your forehead, all around your eyes and mouth, all through your jaw. And then we'll let our hands come up to our hips. As we press into our feet, we're going to rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose. So if you need to switch a little bit in how you're standing, do. If you need to sway around a little bit to find center, you know, sometimes just going right to left or front to back helps. Where you just get settled right in there to where you feel that central plumb line of the body. Feel the alignment of the pelvis. Tailbone is just dropping down towards between your heels or like the back of your heels. Feeling nice and open across your chest. And let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings. Bend your knees as you come forward into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Remember, your hands can be on your legs. They can be on your chair or your blocks. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. So draw your shoulders down, away from your ears. Let yourself really imagine you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet so you feel a little more engagement up into your hips. And let's find our way into downward facing dog pose. And it can be your down dog, remember. Hands can be on the floor or the blocks or the chair. Spread your fingers wide, reach back through your tailbone, through your sitting bones. And go ahead and bend a knee at a time if you can. Walk your dog a little bit. Let yourself feel that length through the long leg. Bring the back of your head into line with your spine if you can. And then from your full dog, let's come on out towards a plank only if you're able to, and you know that. You can come to a forearm plank instead. You can put your knees down and do a half plank. You can do little push-ups if you choose to. But just be mindful. Let yourself find what you want to work on here. Your core strength, a little bit in your arms and your shoulders. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Reach equally back through your sitting bones. Remember, it's fine to bend your knees in down dog. And we'll bring our right foot forward from here to come into lunge. So you know if you need to put your left knee down to get there, do. Draw your shoulders down again. Feel the feet pressing away from each other like you're lengthening your mat with your feet. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And just let yourself release there. Heavy head. Maybe even turning your head a little bit side to side or nodding your head, yes, a little bit. And then accepting those breaths. Full deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. And And from here, let's let our hands come up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's bring our arms straight out into T position. Let your palms face down. Let yourself reach out through your fingertips there. And then bring your right arm on top of your left. Give yourself a nice hug. Relax your elbows down. Bring your chin down towards your chest. And then kind of roll your head a little bit side to side if you can. If that bothers your neck, don't do it. But if you can just roll a little bit, letting yourself kind of bring the face forward and then down and then forward to the other side. And stop back at center when you're ready. And let yourself sit back into a little chair pose. Now, it doesn't have to be low. Shift a little more weight to your heels if you can. If you want to release towards an eagle wrap, you can, but you don't need to. You can stay hugging. So wherever your shoulders feel like they want to go, let them go. Really feel the feet in the floor. You're going to feel your thighs engaging. You're reaching your tailbone back on a diagonal line. One more breath. Rise on up to standing again. And if you're in your eagle wrap, you can let your elbows lift up a little if you want. And then we're going to unfold our arms and stretch back out into that T position. And this time we're going to bring the other arm on top. So left arm on top of the right. Again, let your elbows melt down. Bring your chin down towards your chest. And roll a little bit if you can. And try not to lock your knees. Right? So, feel your feet in the floor, but make sure you're not jamming into locking your knees there. Good. And then come on back into center, and as you sit back here now to that little chair, remember if you were about to sit in a chair, this is what you do. Your torso would come forward, your bottom would go back. Think about reaching your tailbone back on that diagonal line. Totally optional to add that eagle wrap in your arms. You don't have to, you can if you want. You're more than welcome to stay hugging. And then press into those feet to rise on up, coming all the way back upright, letting yourself stay released in the shoulders there. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice long back. And we're going to step left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So finding that down dog here now. Be mindful, walk a little bit, take your time. Good. And on your next inhale, come on out again towards that plank. And again, it is up to you what kind of plank you do. Half plank with knees down, forearm plank is fine. You can stay in your plank, finding core strength. You can bend your elbows. Sometimes just bending your elbows a tiny little bit, right in towards your ribs. Really gets the biceps and the shoulders going. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And however you need to get there. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. And everybody is different for your forward bend. So you want to be comfortable in your back. If you need to put your elbows above your knees, do. If you need to use your chair or your blocks. I know some of you, it feels great just to let your hands release to your elbows or to put your hands behind your legs. Watch your breaths now. Full deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. See if you can imagine your face, every time you exhale, your face just getting softer and softer. More and more release happens every exhale. And as we let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's clasp our hands, send our palms out away from our chest here, and then float our arms up and up and up and up. Only as high as you can go, right? You might need to stay forward. You may feel fine to bring your hands above your head. Don't force anything. And then just move over to the right a little bit. Let yourself come a little more into stretching the left side of the ribs, breathing into that side. And then come on back up to the top and we'll go the other side. So breathing into the right ribs there. And then we'll come on back up again. Bend your elbows. Let your hands just come right to the back of your head. Press your head a little bit into your hands, but make sure you're keeping your chin parallel to the floor. And now feel your feet in the floor. Kind of bend your knees a little bit and press down into your feet into the floor. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale your arms forward and up overhead. And on the exhale, we're going to bend our knees and come on into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back wherever you want your hands to support you. And we're going to step into downward facing dog pose from here. So you put your hands on the surface you like and you walk back into your dog. So take your time as you get into dog. Walk a little bit if you feel good to do that. Be mindful. Remember, if your hands are on the blocks, be careful. They can be tippy. And on your next inhale, come on out to plank. And you can add a back bend or not. Totally up to you. You can come down with your pelvis, through with your chest for an up dog, or no need to do that at all. You can come down and do a Sphinx or a little cobra or no back bend at all. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Take your time there. Walk if you need to. Bend your knees if you want. Wag your tail if you want. And we're going to do that same thing. Come on out to plank. Again, it is optional to do a back bend here. Not necessary, and whatever kind of back bend you choose. And then we'll make our way again. Back into down dog. And this time we will bring our right foot forward and come into that lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet hip distance apart and parallel. Mindful of your breath. Let yourself accept those breaths. Full and deep breaths in and out. And then we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips and bend our knees, rising on up to standing. And inhale our arms out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, take your time, adjust however you need, get your feet underneath you, get yourself really into feeling that sense of being very stacked up. Hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling, feet equal in the floor. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down beside us and swing around, move around, whatever you need to do. Walk around if you need to. We're going to come into some warriors. So I'm going to flip my chair around. Make sure you have your blocks handy by the front of your mat there. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior two. So getting our heels aligned, lining up that front knee, making sure you've got that knee out over the center of your foot. Take your time there, really feel as equal as you can from your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. And then bring your hands to meet in front of your heart. Let yourself feel nice and open across your chest, your upper back. Good, and then from here, lift your elbows up and let the tips of your middle fingers touch as your palms face down. Like you have your hands on a shelf or something right there in front of your chest. And all we're going to do is unfold those arms and turn our head to look right out over the top of that left hand. Coming into warrior two arms. Feeling the feet pressing gently away from each other. Energy all the way out through the fingertips. Feeling your whole body in the pose. Feeling that strength, that power of your warrior two. And we'll turn the left palm up. Bring your right hand down. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. Take a nice full breath into the left ribs here. And on your exhale, come into your side angle. So whether you either want to bring your left hand or forearm to your thigh, that is up to you as you come over that front leg. And add that right arm up into line if you so choose. Remember, you don't need to add that right arm. It can stay down. You can use your chair if you want to give you support so you're up higher in the pose. So just be mindful. Let yourself find that length through both sides of the body. One more breath. And we're going to come on back into warrior two from here. Let the feet press gently away from each other. And then let your hands come down because we're going to find a lunge here by bringing our hands, whatever you want to use, your chair, your blocks, rotating that right heel directly behind your foot, getting your hands to the height you like to be in your lunge. And then we're going to add a twist of left hand to the left hip, rolling that left shoulder up and finding our twist here in the middle of the back. Now some of you might want to stretch the left arm up. And I mean, some of you might even want to look up. Right? And if your shoulder is going no way, just keep your hand down on your back there. Find where you can be finding that length from the top of the head all the way back and down through the inner right heel back there. And then we'll come on back down with the hand into lunge. We're going to step forward, get our feet right underneath us. Take a couple of breaths here. Let your knees soften if you need. Feel your feet in the floor. And then press into your feet and rise on up to standing. And inhale your arms all the way out and up. And on your exhale, as your hands come down, think about the top of the head getting higher. So now you are pretty lightheaded now. Really lots of space in the spine. Maybe you even feel a little bit taller than you did when you walked in. And then go ahead and unfold your arms on down beside you. Shake it out a little bit, and we're going to do the other side. So if you need to walk around, always do that. If you need to move through your feet and your ankles at all. We're going to step our left foot back. We'll come into warrior two with the left foot back, heels lined up. That front knee bent no farther forward than your ankle. Be really mindful of that. Good. Feel equal there. Let your hands come to your heart for a second. Spread your fingers out and really feel very balanced there in your pose. And then again, you're going to lift up the hands apart to just where the tips of your middle fingers are touching, right there in front of your chest. And as you unfold your arms, you're going to turn and keep watching that right hand as it gets right over there, right in front of you. You can rise them higher, lower them down, depending on where your neck feels good as you look out over that top hand. Feel your feet in the floor, pressing them gently away from each other. Nice. Warrior two. Left hand is going to come down, right palm is going to turn up, and we're going to inhale and reach up towards the ceiling with that right hand. Nice full breath. And on your exhale, come into that side angle where you bring either your hand or your forearm to your thigh or your chair. Adding this left arm up is totally optional. Remember, you do not have to add that. You can let the hand stay down on the hip. Let yourself feel that length through both sides of the body here now. Good. One more breath. We're going to come on back into warrior two from there, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And let your arms come down. We're going to find lunge. So as you turn to bring your hands to the surface you like to use, maybe it's the chair back or the seat of the chair or the blocks. Find that heel reaching directly behind your foot and then bring your right hand to your hip. Roll that shoulder up. You can stay with your hand, if you can, palm down right there on your sacrum. And you can still lengthen through the entire body here. Adding that arm up is totally optional. Sometimes it feels good in people's shoulders. Sometimes it doesn't feel good at all. So find what feels the best for you. Good. And And then we'll release to bring our hand back down. We're going to step forward, get our feet right underneath us. And we're going to bend our knees and come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then from here, let yourself just widen your feet a little bit and start to swing your arms a little bit, side to side, very low. Feel length. In fact, you're not really doing anything. Once you start this momentum, the arms swing naturally and they wrap around you. And it's easy. You feel the weight of the arms, your shoulders feel relaxed. You can just find these really gentle little twisting motions, and your hips are kind of following you around, right? So, and don't put any stress in your knees. Good. And then finish off. Come on back into center. And we're going to come into Warrior One this time. So we're going to step our right foot back. And as you do, if you need to widen your stance a little bit, stepping a little more towards the edges of your mat, do it. If you need that wider stance for balance. And get your back foot turned maybe 20, 30 degrees there on the mat. And as you bend the front knee, just be mindful of, again, trying to feel this sense of being balanced between your feet. It's a little harder in Warrior One for some people. And then let your arms hang. And now think about this part of your body, your belly, your low back, and your hips. Because we're going to inhale the right arm all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, we're going to lower it down. Now, when you exhale, you still got to keep your belly working to stand up, right? So when you inhale the left arm, you're going to feel your belly work even more as the arm comes up, right? And then when you exhale and the arm comes down, the belly still has to be lifting. Both arms together, inhaling up overhead. You can touch your hands or fingertips together if you want. And on the exhale, lowering them back down. And this time we'll inhale, we're going to bring the arms up and we're going to stay. So you can be a wide V, you can keep your arms forward, or you can bring your arms more in by your ears. That's up to you. Now if you want to look up a little bit, do. But if you do that lift, looking up a little bit, feel the lift right at the base of your shoulder blades. No compression in the low back. There's this length of the top right buttock muscle down towards your heel. One more breath. And then we'll lower our arms on down. Good. And make a little circle with your shoulders. And then start to turn towards the long edge of your mat. And separate your feet at least as wide as your shoulders, a little wider, or even a lot wider. And as you think of coming forward, of course, if you like your blocks, you can grab your blocks and have your hands for this wide-legged forward bend on blocks or on the floor, whichever works. Adjust your stance accordingly as you bend a knee at a time. You're more than welcome to start to kind of adjust how wide you want to be in the pose. If it bothers you to bend one knee at a time, don't do it. You can always bend both knees, remember. It's up to you in this pose whether you keep your knees bent or straight. And then see about coming to where you can stay to be with your breath. Maybe supporting with the blocks under your hands or your forearms or your head. Maybe you prefer to put your hands down onto the floor. But just enjoy watching your breath now. Feeling the ribs expanding as you inhale. Letting the breaths even out if you can in length. Your inhales and exhales coming closer to the same length. Good. One more full, complete deep breath. Now be mindful as you start to think of rising up. You can use your hands to help you. You can walk your feet together more before you come up if you want. And then once you're ready to move around again, go ahead, move through your feet and your ankles, take your time. Good, and we're gonna go the other side. We're gonna step our left foot back. And remember, how long of a stance you take in Warrior One does not matter. So it can be 2 feet, 1.5 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. Again, if you need to widen for balance sake, get that back foot fully on the floor. And just being in the pose with this front knee bent, think about how open you are in the front of your left hip. You can feel that nice stretch going on there. Let your arms hang. Start to feel, as you're very balanced here between your feet up into your hips, feel like when you start to move your arms, what happens? So we'll inhale the left arm all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, as it comes down, keep the belly working as it releases down. And we're going to go to the right side, inhaling the arm out and up. And as we exhale, letting it come on back down. And then both arms. Inhaling, rising up. And on the exhale, letting them come on back down. And this time they'll go up to stay. Inhaling, and you only go where you want. Arms can be forward, arms can be wide, arms can be closer in towards your shoulder, over your shoulders. And again, if you decide you want to rise your gaze up, keep the belly working, and now really feel that openness in the front of that left hip. Enjoy, feel the feet equal in the floor, opening up through the front of the body. Beautiful. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down. Make that little shoulder circle. Doesn't matter which way you go. Just let it feel good, releasing. And then we're going to turn sideways on the mat again to get ourselves into wider stance. Wide as you can feel like you want to be when you bring your hands down to blocks or the floor. Take your time. If you need to adjust how far apart your feet are, do. Remember, we're endeavoring to be pretty parallel with our feet. And then walk your hands over towards the right. Once you get over as far as you want to go, it can be all the way to your foot, or you can be on your blocks in front of your foot. Bring your right hand on up to your right hip. And if you want, you can even roll that shoulder up towards the ceiling. You don't have to. And then come on back down with that hand. Let's walk back through center. And let's go over towards the left. And again, you can be in front of the foot on blocks. You can hold on, be all the way over to your foot. And then when you're there, bring your left hand on up to your left hip. Now this rolling up, totally optional. Letting yourself roll that shoulder up. And then we'll come on back down and bring our hands on back into center. And go ahead and bend both your knees for a second. Let yourself bring your elbows above your knees to support you into a squat here if you can. So your back is really long. Enjoy feeling that length. And then you release where you feel good to be. To stay in the pose with your breath. You know, some of you may want to bring your hands down to between your feet. Or even walk your hands back behind you. Turn your fingertips to walk way back through your legs. And of course, that is just not for everybody. Use support if you need. Elbows above the knees or blocks underneath your forearms or under your head. Following those breaths in and out. We're going to slowly now start to make our way back up to standing. So how you do that is totally up to you. Bring yourself on up. Good. And let your feet come on together and move around a little bit again. And let's leave our mats where they are. But we are going to just walk to a wall. We're just going to work a little on tree pose, so you don't need a lot of room. Now just come to a spot where you can touch. Bring your left hand, let's all do left hand towards the wall. And then from here, let yourself, even if you don't usually do this, Bring yourself, weight onto your left foot. Put your right heel into the inside of your ankle bone, just above your ankle bone, so your toes are on the floor. And just see if you can stay there for a breath. Bring your gaze forward. See if you can bring your hands to your heart. Let yourself feel that uplift in the front of that left leg, the supporting leg. And then see if you can rise your arms up overhead. A wide V is fine. You know, you can even touch the wall if you want with your left hand. And then some of you, if you decide you want to bring that foot up off the floor, you can go ahead and bring the foot to the inside of your calf. Or you can reach down, get hold of your foot, bring the foot up into your inner thigh if you choose to. So finding wherever you want to be in tree pose here, right? Just be mindful. If you feel like you don't want your arms overhead, you can change your arms back to hands at your heart. Or you can try something different. You know, you can put your hands behind you in tree pose. If you feel like you just want to hold on to the wall the whole time, just hold on to the wall the whole time, right? Sometimes it's even fun to hold the wall with your hand and then close your eyes. And feel what your body is doing. With your eyes closed, you can really focus internally. I wouldn't try to balance like that, but I really like the feeling of being inside myself, seeing how it feels. And then come on down. Let yourself shake it out a bit. We're going to turn around and go to the other side. So again, as you bring your weight to your right foot, if you can put your left heel to the inside of the ankle bone there, maybe kind of towards the top. And then bring your hands to your heart if you can. Do. If not, don't. Use the wall if you need. There's a lift through the front of that right hip. Good. Now if you can rise your arms up overhead, do. If not, don't do it. Remember, you can always put your hand on the wall if you want. And then you can decide if you want to bring the foot off the floor at all. Yeah? Bringing the foot into the inner calf. Bringing the foot into the inside of your ankle. The inside of your thigh. And then apply. You know, you can bring your hands off the wall if you want to. You can let yourself use the wall. You can change where you put your hands. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release and come on down. And let's make our way back onto our mats and come down onto our bellies on the floor. So take your time. Let yourself release on down, and once you get down there, make that little pillow with your hands if you can, and rest your forehead on your hands. And if that feels uncomfortable in your neck, you know you have to adjust however you need. If you need to turn your head to a side, or if you just need to put your head on the floor instead of on your hands. And then bend your knees. Let your feet circle. Doesn't matter how you do that, just whether they go the same direction or opposite. Circle, maybe even getting a few little pops and snaps. And then let your lower legs come from one side to the other like windshield wiper blades. Good. And then come on back up with the feet and let your right leg come down long. Keep your left knee bent and flex the foot, and just use your muscles to draw your heel in towards your buttocks. Don't reach back with your hand or anything right now. Just stay right there. And then go ahead and bring that left leg long. You're pointing it. You're feeling the top of the foot pressing into the ground. You're going to bend your right knee, flex your right foot, and pull the heel in towards your buttocks a little bit. Giving your quad a nice little stretch there. Good, and then come on back. Let both legs be long, and let's come on up into a little Sphinx Pose. Now your Sphinx Pose, how high it is your choice. You can have elbows under your shoulders with your fingers spread wide. You can be down lower with your elbows back more. and so that they're down towards your waist farther so you're not up so high. Either one of these, you're using your back, right? You are using your back, you're opening the front body. Just bring your gaze kind of between your hands if you can. And be mindful. Good, one more breath there. And then bring your hands together, clasp them, send your pinky finger out. As you bend your knees, lift up your hips and pull yourself towards the front of your mat. So you're really on the flesh above your knees in this half plank pose. Feel your belly engaging. Let yourself feel your shoulders. Feel the low back too, engaging. So take your time. If you feel like you'd rather do a full forearm plank, just put your feet down to the ground and lift your knees up and do a full one. Keep engaging the belly. One more breath here. And then let yourself come on down. We're going to come on to our left forearm being about parallel to the front edge of our mat. We're going to bend our right knee. Now you can stay right here with your head just barely off your arm and be happy right there. If you want to reach back with your right hand and get hold of your right foot for half bow, you can. You can kind of pull the foot a little away from you to open more across the right side of your chest as well. These are totally up to you. You don't have to be up. You don't have to get the foot. You can, be up just a little bit with your head and still have a little back bend going on and still get a quad stretch without your foot in your hand. We're going to release down. Bring the right forearm parallel to the front edge of the mat. Let your right foot come down long. And then bend your left knee. And you might just want to float your head a little off your arm. That might be enough right there. There's your quad. There's a little back bend. If you'd like to reach back with your hand, you can, but it's not necessary. If you have your hand there on the foot, you can push your foot into your hand maybe and go up a little higher if you want. Half bow. One more breath. We're going to bring the leg on down, and from here we're going to shift back towards child's pose, which is totally different for every one of us. If you can get your big toes together, you can separate your knees as much as you want. You can keep your hips up in the air, or you can shift your hips down towards your feet only if that's okay for your knees, right? So you've got to be mindful of your knees, of your back, of your hips. You want to find a place where you can be comfortable and breathe into your low back. Good. One more breath. And now you want to be mindful when you're ready to come up. Use your hands to help you, however you can get around to sitting. But actually, once you come around to sitting, you guys turn and face that wall so that you can be like this with your legs out into a wide angle, and you'll still have your feet on your mat. So you're all looking at that wall. So your whole body is going to turn that way, Terry. There you go. And that way your heels are on your mat, right? If they're not, sit back off your mat and make sure your heels get on your mat, because it's a lot more comfortable when you start to dig your heels in to the ground and think about drawing them back towards you. And if you're uncomfortable like this, grab your blanket and sit up on it. Sitting on a blanket can really be helpful in this wide pose here, so if you'd like to sit up on a blanket, do. Good. Now bring your hands behind you for a second and let yourself just draw your chest forward. Think about your shoulders drawing backwards. You can look up a little bit. Just let yourself open up through the chest. Try to think about your knees and your toes facing the ceiling. Good, and then come a little bit forward. Bring your hands in front of you. Now you can always get a block if you want and put your hands on a block in front of you. Sometimes that just helps rather than having them on the floor. As you think of coming forward with a long back, and for some of us it might mean really like a 1/4 inch of movement, right? Because you don't want to round forward into the back. You want to keep your back long. Imagine you're coming forward from your low back, but the whole back comes forward as one piece. And then once you get as far as you want to go, if you want your head to hang, let it, right? I even like to stack blocks up sometimes, have them in front of me so I can just put my forearms on the blocks and get out of my hands, or even my head down onto the block. So just let yourself open up here through the inner thighs, the outer legs too, the hips. Good, one more breath. And now we're going to easily come on back up. We're going to do a little side stretching. So let your right hand come onto the top of your right leg somewhere and start to slide it down. Maybe to your shin, maybe all the way down to your ankle. Start to draw your left shoulder up towards the ceiling. You can put your left hand on your hip there. And if you want, you can even like put your hand up onto your ribs to feel how your ribs feel when they're open like that. You can even put your hand behind your head if you want, up at the back of your head, which changes it even more. Or you can stretch your arm long into your side stretch. That is all up to you. You don't have to do all of those. You can always go back to where you felt the best. And then we're going to rise on back up. And we're going to just bring the left hand down, and we're going to do the same thing. Slide down that leg. Again, as you roll your right shoulder upward towards the ceiling, maybe you just want to keep your hand down. You know, especially if your shoulder bothers you. You're still, if you feel what's happening in your ribs here, you're still getting a stretch here through the side body. It doesn't mean your hand has to go to your head, or doesn't mean that arm has to stretch long to get that stretch. Use your breath. Feel your breath coming into that right side. And then we're going to slowly make our way on back up. And we're going to bring our legs together. So let your legs come on together and turn sideways. Turn back on your mat so you can lie on your back and be the right side on your, turn the right way on your mat. But before you go down, just for a second, hold on, bend your knees, let your feet be on the mat, hold on behind your thighs. And you can clasp your hands if you want or hold separately. And just lean back a little bit. Now, instead of lifting your feet, keep your feet on the floor and really feel what's going on here, right? Once you lean back with this long back, you're really using your belly and your low back. Now, if you want to float your legs up, do it into that little boat pose. You know, you can keep holding on. You can let go if you feel like you're so inclined to let go of your legs. Go ahead. If you're like, no way, if I let go of my legs, I'm going to lose that core feeling there. You can keep holding on. One more breath there. Let's put our feet back down. We're going to come onto our backs on the floor, however you want to get there. Bring your knees on up in towards your chest. And let your knees come side to side. Really ease your way. Side to side with those knees. Good. And then keep your knees into your chest and bring your arms out beside you into a T position. And as you exhale, let the feet are flexed. Let the knees come over towards your left. Not very far. And when you inhale, bring them back into center. And when you exhale, let the knees come over towards the right. And then inhale them back into center. Now do it again. Exhale to the left. See if you can stretch your right leg out a little bit longer. And then bend both your knees and come back into center with your knees. And go to the right. Stretch your left leg out a little longer. And then use your belly. Bring your knees on back in. So if you like those, you can keep doing those. You can let yourself stretch the top leg out. Sometimes it feels good to actually go over to the side, stretch the top leg out, and stay there. Right? If you don't like that twist, don't do it. You can just keep your knees bent and go side to side. You can do something entirely different. Any kind of twist that feels good for you right now, do it. You might want to have your feet on the floor, knees side to side. You might want to bring one knee in towards your chest and bring it across. You all know there's all kinds of different ways that will help your back release. So take your time, be mindful, and start to come around to get light, but that doesn't mean you need to stop. If there is another pose or movement that you want to do right now, by all means, let yourself do whatever feels good. If you need a supported bridge, if you'd like to do a bridge pose fully, if you'd like to come into a happy baby or another kind of hip opener there on your back, a figure 4 or Badakanasana. Be mindful, take your time. And I'm going to, once I get all the lights, I will start to bring stuff. But take your time, don't rush. We're up here for a change. Toast this down. Awesome. Good. Tuck in. Tuck, tuck. You want a bolster? Please. So don't give up on me. I'm coming around. If your back feels iffy, remember. Is that good? Remember that a bolster underneath your knees can sometimes really help release the back. And sometimes a little blanket at the back of your head, if you're feeling kind of tense in the neck, can help tremendously with that. Sometimes it's just a little fold of a blanket is all it takes. And if you're chilly, let me know. I can bring you anything you need, blankets, bolsters, hot cocoa. Come on, bolster. A little bit. All good? Is that good? You're good. So be easy. If you need to wiggle around a little bit to get more comfortable where your arms and your legs are, do. If you need to let your head roll a little side to side, just be easy as you let yourself come to watch your breath. And there's nothing you need to do in order to breathe. As you accept the breath in and out through your nose, you'll find that really your body wants to go into that quiet place where the breath leads you. And your mind will continue to go off into thinking, but you just keep coming back to the breath and you find the quietness again. So just give yourself the gift of these few minutes and trust that your body will get what it needs from all you just did. And just allow yourself to completely and fully relax. going out more deeply. So you feel your body move a little bit when you breathe in. Feel your belly rise. And let those deeper breaths start to gradually bring you back into wanting to physically move. If your fingers and your toes can lead you, you can start with your extremities and move on up into your arms, your legs, and move how you need to move when you're ready. Stretch if you like, bend if you like, bring your knees in if you want. You know, take your time, enjoy the ground a little bit longer, whether you stay there on your back or roll to either your right or your left side. If you are comfortable to be on your side in a fetal position, it can feel very good to rest there on your side, maybe even using your arm as a pillow, and just enjoy the support of the ground a little bit longer. And be easy when you do feel like you're okay to rise up to sitting. Let yourself feel really light as you float your way up to getting comfortable, however that might be for you, whether it's crossing your legs or stretching your legs out or getting a blanket to sit on. Just let your eyes close and lengthen up as you sit up nice and tall. Feel pretty good about having your head up there again on top. But come back to your breath, watching your breath in and out through your nose. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to come to meet there in front of your chest. Just feeling that connection of each finger, your thumbs, whatever part of your palms touch. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Thursday.
Now my head is on my shoulders.
Make sure it's back up on top or
Right.
release, right?
Facing the right direction. That's good.